Thank you, Mr. Chair. So, Minister, do you take responsibility for the results in the financial statements?
I take responsibility for our fiscal strategy, and as I said, we had a year of two halves. We had a number of decisions that were taken by the last government, and I cannot take responsibility.
Talking about one of the highest overgale deficits in recent memory. Well, the Minister spoke for almost 10 minutes.
Yes, you've still got to give her a chance to answer.
And she referred to her answer in her opening summary, so I'm just going to leave it there. So she's answered it, she's addressed it. So the next question, talking about one of the highest overgale deficits in recent memory, the core Crown segment, and I stress that, core Crown segment, not ACC, contributed 5.8 billion to the overgale deficit, a worsening of 1.6 billion from the previous year. Why is that?
Well, I want to take you through that because Budget 2023 contributed 5.6 billion to the overgale deficit in the last financial year, so your government's last budget. But that was dwarfed by Budget 2022, which contributed 9.8 billion in new spending to the overgale in that year. And Budget 2021 contributed 5 billion. That's a total of 20 billion over those three budgets. So you can see how a big few spending years add up and have long-run impact, such that we are still feeling them in the last financial year, which we are discussing today. There would have been a much smaller overgale deficit in 23-24 if the previous government had shown some discipline in its spending.
You're still running larger deficits than any other year, except for at the height of COVID. You have said that there's $100 billion worth of reckless spending. What wouldn't you have done then?
I have to say, it's very difficult for me to ascertain what the member's position is. Is it, as she said,
No, it's not about my position.
I'm asking your position. We should focus on,
I'm asking your position, Minister.
Or is it that you believe that current deficits are unsustainable? The course that we have chosen, as I have laid out, is one in which we have made deliberate and careful decisions to reduce spending in areas that we did not believe were driving value for New Zealanders. In particular, the 1.1 billion that we managed to reduce in the last financial year. And in the recent budget which we delivered, we set out more than $23 billion worth of savings over 4 years. And I cannot help but point out the convenience that the member affords herself, in which every reduction we make she criticises, and yet somehow she wants to take the high ground on the deficit.
Minister, this is your financial statements. So the question is, if you're saying growth is the only way to be able to address the deficit, can you rule out any new revenue measures in this term?
I did not say growth was the only way to reduce the deficit.
So can you rule out any new revenue measures this term?
I specifically set out that the way to reduce the
deficit... Can you rule
deficit...
out any new revenue measures this term?
If you want to ask a question, you should...
It is a simple question.
He's given her a chance. She's only just started.
Simple question.
You're using up the time, that's fine.
I'm very happy to set out for you how we intend to reduce the deficit. This will happen in three key ways. The first is driving more value from existing spending to ensure that we are getting maximum impact from the taxpayers' dollars of which we are custodians. And that involves, on an agency-by-agency, initiative-by-initiative basis, carefully ensuring that our dollars go to key priorities, whether that's additional police, whether that's structured literacy in our classrooms, whether that's more cancer medication hospitals. The second way that we will be able to reduce the deficit over time is, as the member points out, by ensuring that we are driving the growth trajectory higher over time. And we do that by operating a range of policy levers. Unfortunately, there is no silver bullet, members, but things like fast-track consenting to ensure that major infrastructure projects can get off the ground.
Such as roads, not railways,
ensuring that we're actually lifting achievement in our schools will be a significant contributor to our economic potential. And the third way that we can ensure that the deficit is reduced is making sure that we are taking fair spending and revenue decisions over time. I have published the government's tax and social policy work programme that is available to the member to reflect on.
So, all right, so let's talk about ACC for a moment, because the price, the amount that ACC spending has gone up. So the outstanding claims liability calculation increased by 8.7 billion to 60.2 billion as a result of court decisions which have expanded scheme boundaries, expected increases in claim volumes, cost of claims, and ACC's declining rehabilitation performance, which was partly offset by the impact of discount rates and inflation. So we are seeing an aging population. We are seeing a population that has more needs, and we are seeing a lot more work injuries. That's what I found too, looking at the data. There's a higher proportion of injuries requiring time off work, so that impacts productivity and the amount of stuff that's generated during recovery, and the length of time injured workers are unable to work has been growing. I don't have data for this, but I have a suspicion, a hypothesis, that this has to do in part due to maybe reductions in work safety compliances and also an aging population, and perhaps a more inexperienced workforce coming in. So the cost of services ACC provides to support recovery have also increased significantly over the past 3 years. So that comes in with your supply issues and people who offer rehab and work in administration stuff moving over to Australia. There's a lot there to unpack.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't know as much about this issue as you, obviously, but I think there's a lot of issues with ACC, and I believe the Greens are the only party with the something to do with ACC. I could be wrong, but the Greens have a policy, at least in the 2023 election, regarding ACC. But I read a brilliant article by Sir Geoffrey Palmer in the New Zealand Herald, I think it was, and that was about since ACC is so flawed, and the fact that the report that bring it into New Zealand, the Woodhouse report, wasn't actually fully followed through. There needs to be another royal commission in order to actually resolve the flaws currently, because it is so comprehensive within the system that at the moment you can't do it by just tinkering around the edges.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. Okay, let's hear more from the Minister.
So apart from revenue measures, which may be revenue positive in the tax policy work programme, assuming that none have been withheld because they're under active consideration, can you rule out any new revenue measures this term and any increases in levies apart from those that are statutorily required to be adjusted?
No, and I'll give you the key example that I have in mind when I give you that answer, which is that, like the member, we have formed the view that public-private partnerships for infrastructure delivery will be a key tool for overcoming our infrastructure deficit. And with those approaches will come, in some cases, new revenue measures. We have been open and transparent about the fact that we will consider tolls on new roads. The judgment that we have made is that New Zealanders are so frustrated with years of visualisations of light rail on the front page, but no roads delivered. And our offer to them is that by partnering with private capital and creating tolling revenue measures, we'll be able to get new roads built faster so that New Zealanders can get to and from home and work faster. And we think that that is a revenue measure worth pursuing.
Thank you. Catherine.